Greetings, beloveds. This is Amy Caryn Johnson, the Earth Channel. And as part of my message from Gaia today, Mother Earth, I have another poem for you. Failure is a great sign that you are not afraid to try something new. Failure and close calls are the best way to learn what to do and what not to do. Worse is when we hurt someone out of anger or carelessness. But sometimes feelings get hurt when we're called by some new wilderness. Because there will always be those who do not feel ready for change. Worst is when we let an opportunity pass, then look back to find it now out of range. Best is when you face something you never thought you'd get through, to find you gained so much more than you ever thought would come to you. So here's to venturing and losing and accepting some pain without shame. It gives us compassion if we let it, a hero's heart lit up with an understanding flame. Today I'd like to talk about being a highly sensitive person, empathic, and how that shows up in astrology, human design, and Vedic astrology as well. And in particular, how it shows up in my chart, to give you some examples that I have actually lived so I can speak to you from experience. So in human design, anytime you have a center that is open or white, you can find lots of free charts out there, and go back and watch some of my other videos. I talk about how to go find your chart. Any of the 9 centers, which are similar to chakras, slight variation on those, when those are white or open, it gives you a sensitivity of some kind. And when I did my series on chakras ended a few weeks ago, I spoke a bit about that, about how those different centers being open can make you sensitive. In particular, I have found my sensitivities come from my open heart, the diamond in the center, also called the G center, and open will center, the smallest triangle. And, I have 2 other open centers as well, the ajna and the head. I don't find my sensitivities come quite as much from those, but they factor in a little bit. In particular with the heart, the diamond in the center, when that is open, you can be a bit of a chameleon. You can feel like wearing different hats at different times, and especially in your younger life, you can really explore that a lot, and then end up finding that some of those hats, some of those ways of being, aren't so good for you, aren't so healthy. And it's easier to recover when we're younger, but as we get older, then we have different preferences, not just based on what we like necessarily, but what makes us feel healthy, what makes us truly healthy. And we gravitate towards those lifestyles and identities even. It doesn't mean that we don't still change. And in particular, the way it makes us sensitive is we feel other people's stories. And I think I spoke about that in that previous video. It's a lot like being an empath. It's not quite so emotional. I do have a defined emotional center, so I do experience the ups and downs of emotions, and that's another kind of sensitivity, even though that center is defined. But in particular, I can take on other people's stories through that open heart center and really feel the pain associated with them at times. And when we are afraid of that pain, it can limit us in our growth. It can limit us in our expression of ourselves. And it can make us hold back and not expand, not meet the world with an open heart as much as we can, as much as we are capable of. So what I have done in my life to get past that is to lean into those times when I'm hesitant, afraid, and I feel other people's judgment, and I feel the pain of those different stories holding me back or threatening to hold me back. And I certainly did hold back at different times, but I was only hurting myself. And last year in particular, I feel like I faced one of my biggest challenges yet. And I had to let go of one identity that I really liked having. I had to let go of the way that others did or did not recognize that identity because my mental health was at stake. It was such a stressful situation, and suffice it to say that someone else wanted to compete with that particular identity, and it was intent on winning. And so, in some respects, they did win, and I had to let that go. And in exchange, I know within myself that that's always going to be a part of me. I'm always going to have that strength. And I also am able to not be attached to the way others see me, others judge me. And I was finally able to keep my heart open no matter what they saw, how much they did not recognize me, and how small they tried to say that I was, basically, how much, I was worth. I know my worth. I know that it is great, just like everyone's worth and value is great, especially the more that we are ourselves. But we are not limited to any physical definition of ourselves. Who and what we are infinite beings of love, and that's the most important thing, and it can have so many expressions. And we will always have the freedom, if we choose to use it, to feel whatever we want and to think whatever we want. And that is where boundaries come in. When we refuse to dim our own lights based upon others' pressure, others' concern that we're going to outshine them somehow, by saying no to that pressure and continuing to let our lights shine, that is really the only effective boundary that we can ever set, the only one we'll ever really need. Because when we can shine our lights brightly, we are our most healthy and happy, and we can finally control the way that we feel more by letting go, ironically. One other way that I'm very sensitive, speaking of Vedic astrology now, is the strength of my moon. My moon in Vedic astrology in my natal chart is my Atma Karaka. That's the soul significator. And when you use Vedic astrology, sidereal astrology, and in particular, I believe the Lahiri Ayanamsha is the best, if you're familiar with those Ayanamshas, those different calculation points. It is the planet or heavenly body, in the case of the moon or the sun, star, obviously, with the highest degree within any sign. And so for me, that is my moon, and it is, like the name suggests, the significator of your soul, your true identity, your true being underneath it all. And having the moon there does make me sensitive, but it's in a very mature way. And I didn't have that modeled necessarily when I was a kid to speak about my feelings so fluently, so easily. But I have gained that ability through hard work and through realizing that that's what I truly want to do. That's one of the most valuable things I have to offer the world, is to speak about my feelings. And the way that most feelings play out is that they are either fear-based or love-based. And I would include anger as a fear-based emotion. Usually when we're angry about something, it's because we are being faced with something that we are afraid of. And all of those really good feelings are based on love, but also sadness. Sadness has to do with the loss of something that we love, and missing it, and yet maintaining that openness in our hearts to continue to have love as a possible feeling that we have, a possible energy that we allow to flow through us, as opposed to closing ourselves down for fear of ever losing something that we love again. And one other thing I'll mention with Vedic astrology is that my moon is also, I believe I have this term correct, forgive me if it's a mistake, but Vargotama, which means that it is in the same sign, both in my natal chart as well as my D9 divisional chart or Navamsa chart. And so it's strengthened by that fact. When you use these divisional charts, oftentimes the planets will change signs, not always, but when they stay in the same sign, it strengthens that heavenly body even more so than it was already. So the moon and feelings are definitely a strong thing for me. It's the only heavenly body that is Vargotama in my birth and Navamsa charts. So it's really important for me to express those feelings, and that's part of the reason I make these videos. And while it does make me sensitive, it's in the best possible way, basically. And it's in the way that I need to model for others to hopefully be able to express their feelings as well, which is highly needed in this world. So I hope this message encourages you to do so. So if you'd like to join me, I will bring forth Gaia to give us a little extra message here, and you're welcome to connect with her as well with me. So I'll invite you to take a few deep breaths. And feel the sunlight come down through your crown as if you were a tree, a crown of leaves, down through your third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, root, down through your feet into Mother Earth. And then feel her love come up through your feet, root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and back up through your crown. And feel that energy circulate throughout your body, maintaining those connections. Grounding in this way or in other ways is a very important thing for all people who are empaths and all people who identify as being highly sensitive. It's a very important thing for you all to do. By connecting with Mother Earth, you recognize the cycles of time and that the love of Mother Earth and the universe is there throughout all of those cycles, all the different expressions along the way. And so by connecting with that love, at all times. It allows you to let the fear go, at least for a moment, and to realize that there is something stronger than fear. One of the most difficult things to do as a highly sensitive person is to let go of people when we need to. It doesn't mean that we won't all see each other again, that our souls aren't still connected. They are still connected. But sometimes in the physical, the way some people are living out their physical lives is not compatible with the way we are living out our own. So we can always, and we should always, still reach out, try to connect with people, give people a chance, but always maintain your path, what is healthy for you, your love, and shining your light brightly at all times. That is what the world needs the most. Deep breath. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste, beloveds. Like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified of future videos.